Hello and welcome to Career Lunch Break. I'm your host, Erin Lewber, and we have with me today a very special guest. We have Eva Papacostas, who is a coach on my team. And I'm so happy because we thought we're going to interview each other because I want people to get to know a little bit more about Eva. So to start, I'm just going to jump right in because I want Eva to introduce herself to you. So Eva, maybe you could do a quick hello and then tell everybody a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm nervous. Hi. So, my name is Eva. As Erin said, I am a coach on her team. I am a former teacher. I was a teacher in the New York City Department of Education before moving into the world of educational technology sales. I am now an account manager and have been for the last 5 years. 5 years. Yeah, wow, 5 years. And I grew up in New York, from Queens, and I now live in central Pennsylvania with my husband, who is still in education. He left and went back. And yeah, that's my quick little intro for you.
All right. So I think we can start by going a couple of ways, but what I want to do is I want to kind of address the elephant in the room of the teacher transition thing, because I don't
Mm,
want this whole conversation to be teacher transition, but also there are a lot of educators out there who are making a shift. And I mean, this has been going on for quite some time now, so it's not new by any means, but let's talk a little bit about one of the things that I like to talk about is that it's never too late to make a change, or, you can identify that something isn't working for you anymore. So let's talk a little bit about you were teaching and then how did you end up in sales?
yeah. So I didn't know I was allowed to leave teaching. I didn't realize that was an option. I think that's the case with a lot of people. And I went to college, got my bachelor's in English, got my master's in education, started teaching. I was an ELA teacher for close to 10 years. In the middle of that, I had started feeling that itch of like, I'm not sure if this is what I want to do. A little bit of boredom, a little bit of what now. I was also an instructional coach and the coordinator of student activities. And to do anything else, I had to become a principal. And I didn't want to go back to school to get my admin license. And I just also didn't want to be a principal, but also was sick of reading the Odyssey every year with ninth graders. Um, so I switched schools. I went to a different school. I was like, you know what? Let me try another school, still within New York City, still in Queens, but let me try a different school. And the school I was at was great. My students were awesome. My administration was cool. My colleagues were fantastic. Like I had no complaints other than I was bored. And that didn't feel like a good enough reason. And then I still felt it, and I felt like I wanted more, and I started looking to see what was out there, and originally it was no sales. I'm never gonna be in sales. I don't wanna be in sales. I don't wanna live commission only because I thought that you only made money when you sold something, only commission based. Had all these, preconceived notions, and I ended up, doing a lot of research, a lot of networking on LinkedIn, made a lot of mistakes, but was connecting with people that had this title called account manager. And I was like, that's not sales. That's helping people with solutions. Guess what? It's sales. And the more that I talked to people in those roles, the more I realized, oh, wait, this is actually what I want to do. I want to still connect with educators. I still want to help them solve problems. It was sort of like what I was doing as an instructional coach, but just at a different space, right? Making sure that people understand how to utilize a product, creating implementation plans, supporting them with that. And the more account managers I talked to, the more I was like, oh, wait, I actually think I like this. I think I want to be in sales, much to my dismay. Um, and yeah, so it just took a little bit of research and a little bit of networking and, breaking down that misconception.
Yeah. So as you were making this shift, and I think this will be the last thing I ask you about the pivot thing, the teacher transition thing. As you were making the shift, you're going from teaching in a classroom and then you're moving to this completely new space. And I think this actually connects really well to the work that you do in my practice at Erin Lewber Coaching is you work with a lot of people who are pivoting, who are shifting and
Right.
going from this to that. I want
Mhm.
to talk a little bit about whether it was your process that you followed when you did it, or maybe it's a blend of that verse and like what you're doing now when you work with clients. But that idea of moving from this to that, walk me through that. Like, how did you connect the dots? Because, like, you were teaching and now you're in sales, and those aren't the same thing.
By getting out of my own head
Okay.
and talking with people and listening. to what they had to say and really thinking to myself, well, wait a second, this is something that sounds familiar to what I've done, but also talking with people that had a similar background to me. In this case, it was former teachers, right? But I think that that could be true for many people is talking to people that have a similar background to you and seeing what resonated with them, what stood out to them, what relates and what where that through line is. Because I think a lot of things can seem random from the top, but then when you really dig in, you can sort of see that there are connections between different careers and different roles that need you to dig in order for you to find.
Mhm. Okay, so a lot of conversations with people, sounds like
Yeah.
being brave. It probably wasn't super comfortable to go talk with
No.
perfect strangers on, I'm assuming, LinkedIn, right?
It
But
was
you
awful.
touched on the idea of, like, it sounds like you found a common denominator, like people who had been where you were, right? Like they had taught and then they made this move. So, I'm thinking about, someone's going through this pivot right now and they're kind of playing around with the idea and maybe they're not a teacher, maybe they could be doing anything right now, but they're thinking about maybe there's something else I want to go do. Let's dig in a little bit, and like if you were coaching them right now and you were talking about the strategy of talking to strangers, like walk me through how you found those people, or like what you might say to somebody to kind of drum up that initial conversation with them through LinkedIn.
Well, I think first you need to almost talk to yourself. You need to figure out some things in what you're looking for in your next move. And I'm not saying title or even job description. I'm saying like the things you want to do. Do you want to be talking to people? Do you want to be looking at spreadsheets? Do you want to be in person? Do you want to be remote? So I think it's about figuring out what are your absolutely nots and oh my gosh, yeses.
Mhm.
Understanding that about yourself will then help you figure out who to reach out to and what you want to say to them, right? So let's say, you know that you want to be people facing, client facing, but you're not sure if sales is the right step for right now. Still, maybe connect with some people that are in sales at a company or in an industry that's interesting to you so that you can understand the customer facing side of things, right? I think it's important to remember that when you're networking with people, you don't have to network with people that are just in a very specific place that you want to be in. It's about networking with people to learn about different aspects of their role that might interest you. So maybe you are interested in talking to people, but you're not so interested in the KPIs and forecasting side of sales. That's okay. Don't talk about that. Talk about how you drum up conversations with people and how you solve problems with people. You want to understand different aspects of different roles to then understand what best fits you. So, what do you say to those people? Well, this is what I coach clients on too, right? I do not advise messaging people and saying, hey, I'm currently a whatever your job is now looking to make a move. Any advice? Because what are they going to say to that? That is so general, that is so vague that you're probably not going to get a response. But if you say something a little bit more specific, I'm looking to transition into this type of industry or this type of role. Again, not a title, but maybe like a customer facing role or a company that truly values X, Y, and Z. You have been at this company for 3 years. What initially drew you there, right? You want to open up that conversation with a specific question that is still general enough for them to not have to give you a 1 + 1 = 2 type of answer. You still want them to give you a genuine answer, but they need something to answer to. And also, people like talking about themselves.
Yeah.
So ask them about themselves.
I will co-sign that 100%. Asking, I always say, like, the DM thing, a lot of people are like, "Oh, somebody won't respond," and then they do the, "Do you have any advice?" Right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's like you've given them the ocean as the set of ways that they could answer, and we really
Mhm.
need to keep it simple, transactional about themselves so that they can sit at their phone probably, right, and type
Yeah.
with their thumbs or speak to text and do a quick answer, and it's opinion-based. It's something
Mhm.
that's probably a little flattering to the person, "How have you
More
been successful
personal.
there?" Or yeah, something that's, like, personally connected, like, maybe you have a shared background or, shared alma mater or something like that, but yeah, fantastic advice. So,
Thanks. I learned from someone really good.
who taught you all of no.
It's a mystery.
I didn't teach you all of it, you have a lot of it, and okay, this is a good segue actually because, obviously I have built a business and a brand in career coaching, and, there's a lot of icky people in the career space
Oh,
out
yeah.
there. Like, there's a lot of, um Yeah, there's just a lot of ick. We'll leave it at that. And so, one of the things that I think is important is, when you're evaluating a coach, and this is kind of coming from my perspective of having done this a long time and also having been someone who has hired coaches to, coach me. I think it's really important to understand your coach and who they are, how they tick. And I know you have calls with anybody who's interested in working with you. You guys do like a alignment call and you see if it works and all that kind of stuff. But let's talk a little bit about how you operate. Like, how would you describe yourself as a coach?
I'm just a girl. No. Um, I think what you said before about the icky coaches, like, that is really true, and I dealt with a lot of that, and I think that's what took me so long to actually do this for real is because I didn't wanna be like that, and I was helping so many people, unofficially that all said to me, like, "You should do this for real," and I was hesitant because of that ick, right? So, I think that I operate as a person. Like, I'm a human being. I'm not this all-knowing power. I'm somebody who has gone through it, has coached multiple people through it, and has learned from a successful coach, that's you, who has gone through it as well, right? So, I'm taking all of my experience and my knowledge from what I've learned and bestowing it upon my clients in a way that's digestible and relevant to them, right? We're not going to start off our first call talking about interview prep. We need to make sure that we're moving towards that based on what they need. So we're going to start off with whatever it is that they need. And my approach is a very human approach. I'm not going to sugarcoat things to you. I'm not going to lie to you. If you tell me something that I think is a bad idea, I'm going to say like, hold on a second. Like, let's talk this one through. And I think that's why people work with me. A lot of feedback that I've gotten is, wow, you are so real. Like there's no not I shouldn't say no filter. There's no BS. Am I allowed to say that here?
Yeah, you are.
Um, there's no, there's none of that. It's the real stuff. It's what you really need to know. It's direct. It's what we need to dig in because that's what leads to results. If I'm sugarcoating to you and if I'm telling you, rah, 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 this is perfect, I'm lying. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I am not is a liar. And I
Yeah.
won't do it.
Good. As it should be, right? And I think I think that's maybe the value we've interviewed each other, and I think we did this in our other conversation, but we were talking about how Eva and I are both in sales, but we
Mhm.
have somewhat different like personalities in the sense that she is more extroverted and she was like a talker when she was young and going through school and all of that, and I was more quiet and a listener and a watcher. And we but what you just said is the common thread that brings us together is we have this like we're going to tell you the truth. And that's I know as we've sat in sessions before, we've talked about being like somebody's best friend who's going to tell them the truth, right? Like when you work together with either one of us, we both carry that level of respect for the situation, that it's like you've chosen a job search best friend
Mhm.
and we're gonna tell you if we see something that's not good, or we're gonna call you out on your stuff that doesn't make any sense. We're gonna do it really nicely because we care a lot about you, but, like, our goal is to see you do well. And so, yeah, I love that you bring your own personality to all of it, but, like, that common denominator of, "I'm gonna tell you the truth, like, I've got you,"
Yeah.
is
I'm
100% why I asked you to come work with me, just to
Oh
I
my
don't know if
gosh.
I've ever told you that, but
I mean, listen, like, wouldn't you get annoyed at your best friend if she didn't tell you you had spinach in your teeth when you were having your
Right,
photo shoot on the beach? Yeah.
right.
So I'm gonna tell you when you have spinach in your teeth.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and we're gonna fix it.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, you asked me about, and I just alluded to it a little bit,
Mhm.
about little Eva, right? Because
Oh
we talk
gosh.
a lot about women and women, our practice that we work on here is, we work with men too, but predominantly we work with women. And a lot of times, we talk about who we were as a little girl versus who we are now. And, you know, would little you be surprised what today you is doing, and how so if that's the case?
Yeah. I think yeah, little me would be surprised because little me had a lot of self-doubt, and that still does creep in. I am just a girl after all. But little me had a lot of that self-doubt and a lot of that, "Am I sure? is this what I should be doing? And also a lot of that people pleasing, which I think comes with being the oldest child, especially the oldest daughter. And little me would be really surprised, and little me would be absolutely astounded. And high school me wouldn't believe it at all. When I was in high school, I did absolutely nothing. I had no care. I didn't even want to think about tomorrow. My mom had to push me to apply to colleges. The only reason I applied to college and I went to the college I went to is because my guidance counselor told me I should. So I was super
Oh,
unmotivated
wow.
and undriven. Yeah, I was super unmotivated in high school. I would my mom hates that I used to do this, but if I didn't feel like going to class one day, which was a lot, I would just go to my guidance counselor's office, and if she wasn't in there, I would just sit on the bench and wait for her, and there were times when, like, I just sat on that bench all day long, and I don't know why nobody said anything to me, but yeah, I didn't care.
Yeah.
So, high school me would be flabbergasted at adult
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, this is so interesting because, like, I didn't know this about you,
Yeah,
and
weird.
I'm like, how do I make this compute with the person who I know who's just, like, so on top of it and creative, and so, like, where was the shift or, like, what happened?
My We moved. So, when I was younger, we lived in Queens, born and raised in Queens. When I was in middle school, we moved to Long Island. For those of you who are not from New York, living in Queens is basically living in New York City. Living on Long Island is like living in suburbia. And that switch was really hard, especially when you're in the middle of middle school, because we know how wonderful middle school girls are, right? It's so great. So that move definitely, I think, paused who I was on track to become because I was always a high achiever when I was younger, and then middle school, high school, I kind of paused, because we moved to one of those towns where everybody went to school together from elementary school, and they all knew each other, and everyone was living in that town forever and, blonde and blue-eyed and fair-skinned named Jessica and Sarah, and there was me, Evangelia, who, they had never seen somebody whose name they couldn't pronounce. And that was really different for me too, coming from the New York City public schools. And I think I just got scared. I was anxious. I didn't know where I was, where I belonged. And then when I went to college is when I actually like really just grew and saw it as a new beginning on my terms. Whereas like when we moved when I was a kid, like that was on my parents' terms. In college, living at school and doing what I did in college was on my terms. And that's when I was able to feel like I was the boss of my life.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna keep pulling on that because I feel like a lot of times, so much of who we are and how we approach things, it comes from all those lived experiences, right? And as
Yeah.
you kind of grow through life and become wiser, as we say, I think about like you went through that challenge as a young
Yeah.
person, and now you said you kind of got to show back up as the self that you put on pause, and it was on your terms. And those words like just make me think of a lot of times people come to us when they're at this point when they're like, I want to redo something on my terms, or like I got into this routine of doing something and I don't like it anymore. And so how do you think, like, going through that because I think it has to have made you more intuitive in how you work with people because you understand that. But, like, help me understand or help me, like, see through your lens, like, as a coach, how does going through something like that help you understand maybe where your client's at?
Wow. I think because I've gone through it twice in my life, right? Like once as a kid or a young adult, going through high school, entering college, but then again, going from one career to another. And they were both at such inflection points, natural inflection points in life, turning 13, you're now a teenager. And then that's when we moved. And then when you're 18, you're now quote unquote an adult, you're in college. And then when I shifted from teaching into sales, like I was 30. So it's like we go through these weird uh inflection points, but kind of at around similar times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think just having done it and having been there, I think allows me to understand and make space for all the feelings that come with that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you're into outside of going to work and helping people with career transitions. Because I think one of the things that's super cool about Eva is she goes to bed really early at night because she wakes up really early in the morning and she coaches kickboxing. And I want to talk about kickboxing because I think this also makes you
Yeah.
an amazing coach because you're a coach in another capacity. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So yeah, if you text me after 7:30 PM, do not expect an answer until
This
about
is true.
4:30 AM. Yeah, Erin knows.
This is true.
Um, so I take my bedtime routine very seriously. My sleep score on my Aura Ring is always above an 85 because I don't play when it comes to my sleep. My friends hate it, but they know the deal. So yeah, I do. I'm up at 4:30 most mornings. If I'm not working out on my own, I am coaching kickboxing and strength classes. 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, we've got classes at the kickboxing studio that I work at. And it is mostly women because, group fitness traditionally is women, although we do have men that come in. And, when you're coaching at 6 a.m., you'd usually have a typical crew that is always there. And classes, are typically almost full, if not full. Like yesterday's morning's class, I had 2 spots still open. Um, and coaching people in that capacity is different, but also really similar to career coaching. I'm in this case, I'm watching women get stronger physically and mentally. And with career coaching, it's watching them get stronger and sharper mentally and intelligence wise, right? So there's that bridge there, but it's also about helping make somebody's life better, whether it's just for that day, whether it's for the long term. I like to be the one that's cheering you on, whether I'm on that mic, like that Britney Spears style pop star mic,
You
and I'm
have one of
telling
those?
you, yeah, I do. Um, so whether I'm on that mic, telling you to pivot when you're kicking, use your hips, open your hips. Or I'm a lot calmer in career coaching and a lot quieter and doing a lot more listening, but I'm still cheering you on and coaching you in some capacity. And I've always wanted to be somebody that is helping people make a difference and making a difference in somebody's life. And that sounds really cliche because a lot of people say that. But for me specifically, I think it's like a little bit of like healing that inner child teenager part of me where I felt like I had no direction and I didn't know where to go. So it's important for me to be the adult that little me needed at that time.
Oh, I like that.
Thanks.
That was very buttoned up. We really brought that around, didn't we?
Wow, I know. It's like
Yeah.
I was like an English major or something.
When you talked about reading the Odyssey over, I was like, "Oh my god, that
Oh,
sounds horrible."
yeah. Yeah, it
One
was.
more reason why you shouldn't be a high school teacher.
In a school that only teaches mythology.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's see here. I wanna think a little bit about maybe some more advice because I think that a lot of times when people listen to podcasts, it's great for them to get to know you a little bit and how you work, but also like some of your thoughts and your ideas. The market right now is not what the market was 2, 3, 4 years ago, right? And I think whether you were moving and pivoting careers or you were just looking for your next job, there were a lot of opportunities. And it's not to say that there aren't opportunities right now. It's just there's a lot more going on, right? Companies have gone through some downsizing. There are job postings that will come open and then go on hold, and it's kind of a little more.
Mhm.
So, as you're talking with your clients, and let's say I'm hypothetically your client and you're talking to me about my approach to my search, like what's a piece of advice that you would give me in this current market?
Be specific and be intentional. And what I mean by that is in the types of job that you're targeting and also the industry that you're targeting. And I know that that sometimes seems contradictory because so many people want to just, throw everything out there and cast a wide net and think that they'll get more. And I understand why that might seem like it makes sense. But when you are looking for a job or when companies are looking to fill a position, they need somebody specific. So you need to be that specific person that is going to be able to fill that role. And that might mean applying to 5 jobs a week
Mhm.
instead of 500 jobs a week. And it seems counterintuitive, but when you are specific and intentional, you are giving yourself that time to find something that actually truly is the best fit, but you're also giving yourself that time to be able to network with people and to send that message or to send that personal email and to really help yourself stand out.
Love it. Co-signed again. Agree. Yeah, and I think maybe to add on to that too, like when you're thinking about what you're touching on about being specific, it it gives you a lot of freedom in being specific because you can focus on the things really well that you've decided to focus on, and the other stuff becomes noise and you don't need to pay attention to it. And I do think so many people, when everything pulls your attention, it's exhausting and
Well, if
it's not
everything has your
effective.
attention, then nothing has your attention.
Exactly. Yeah. So
So
I love that piece of advice. Okay. So I've got some rapid fire questions that I just want to
I
ask
was
you that are fun.
gonna do that with you, but we ran out of time. All right, go
No,
ahead.
too bad.
What?
Um,
All right, I'm ready.
so, favorite beverage?
Honestly, water. I'm so
Boring.
boring. I know, I'm so boring.
Second favorite beverage?
Lemonade.
You a coffee drinker?
Coffee, but coffee's in its own thing.
Well, it's
All
a
right, so what's
beverage.
my coffee order? Is that what you're asking?
No, I gave you something very broad and said
All right,
beverage,
fine, coffee, coffee, coffee.
but you don't have to say now I feel like I'm leading the witness to say coffee. I don't care
But
what
it
it
has to be
like,
before 11 AM or else I won't sleep.
okay. Alright, so you like water, lemonade, and coffee.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Favorite TV show that you're binging at the moment?
It's Boy Meets World. I'm always watching Boy Meets World. It's my
A
comfort
classic.
show.
It's a
It's
classic.
but like a new show, like a relevant
I
show,
mean, yeah, sure.
high potential.
Oh, yeah, I've been watching that
Mhm.
too.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Have you watched, Jury Duty?
I started it, but I couldn't get into it.
Oh, watch the second one, it's better.
Okay.
Okay, best trip you've ever been on or yeah, best trip you've ever been on.
Dang. Oh, I went to Puerto Rico this past summer,
Okay.
with my husband and his best friend from college and his wife, and we had such a good time.
Was it a beach
Um,
vacation?
it was a beach vacation, and I'm very much a beach vacation person. Like, put me on a beach, give me a book, give me my music, don't talk to me, don't call me, don't make me go on hikes, don't make me do any activities except for my morning workout. However, they really wanted to do a tour of the rainforest.
Mm,
And I was like, "Oh my god, okay, I really don't wanna do this," but it's their vacation too, they wanted us to go, so I sucked it up and I went, and it was amazing. So, afterwards, I was like to my husband, "Why don't we do more excursions when we go on vacation?" He's like, "Because you like to do nothing." So that was really good.
yeah. Alright. I was gonna ask you beach or pool, but it sounds like beach.
Probably.
Okay,
Depends where I am.
okay.
If
It's
I'm in New
important.
York, pool.
Well, yeah.
If I'm, like, in the Bahamas, beach.
Okay. Uh, favorite meal or favorite food?
Rigatoni alla vodka, no meat in the sauce.
That is wildly specific.
I am a wildly specific person in all areas of my life.
Okay, I just had a few of them, so we'll stop at that now. I'll stop grilling you. Um, when I guess as we've come kind of around the end of the corner here and we're wrapping things up, one of the things that I always ask guests about is a really good piece of advice that either they've sort of learned through their life or someone has given them and they've decided to carry. So kind of a lesson learned or something like that. So I'm not going to do what you did in my interview and turn the question around and say bad advice. I'm going to ask you, what is the best piece of advice or a really good piece of advice that you'd want to share with listeners?
I'm gonna say it again, but no, no, you know what? I'm not gonna say it again. I'm gonna say something else. You do not need to have 17,000 resumes when you are applying for a job. You need to have one targeted resume because you should be specific and intentional in your search. So you shouldn't be rewriting it every time.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay. Well, I think with that, like this has been the fastest half hour of
This
my
is so
life in
fast.
a while because we're just chit-chatting along here. And this is why I love working with you, is
I
because
know.
time flies. And I hope this has been a good chance for listeners to get to know a little bit about you. Definitely, I want them to reach out, connect with you on LinkedIn if they're not connected already. But Eva, it's been such a pleasure having you join Erin Lewber Coaching and be part of the team. And I was so surprised when you said that about like your kind of young years in middle school and high school because I'm like she's
Mhm.
just so passionate and
No,
like
not then.
you get me excited about things because you come with these ideas and all of that kind of stuff. So, I hope this has been a great chance for people to get to know you and meet you and get a little more info about you. And thank you so much for making time in the day to come be a guest.
You, Erin, and thanks for making time for me always, and for answering that random DM I sent you over a year ago.
You're welcome. All right. See you, everybody.
Bye.